G'day, this is Mr. Thompson. I'm going to show you how to build your first solar powered car. Alright, you're going to need some tools. You're going to need a glue gun, some scissors, a ruler, preferably a metal one, but a wooden one will do if you're careful, a sharp knife, you'll need a pen. Now also you'll need some parts, so you'll need some melty beads, which we're going to use as bearings, some electrical tape, we've got a drive gear there, an electric motor and a spindle gear, two 100mm axles, some axle spacers, 4 wheels and a solar panel with alligator clips. We're also going to use some core flute. So this looks like corrugated cardboard except it's plastic. It's the sort of thing that real estate agents make their signs out of, but very useful for us to make our car chassis from. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is cut the body of the car out of this core flute. Now, I recommend about 6 centimetres wide, so I'm just going to, with a ruler and a pen here, and mark that there. It only has to be approximate, but then the same down here, so 6 centimetres there. Use the ruler, I'll just draw a line down there. Okay, now once you've done that, very carefully, using a sharp knife, pop that out a bit. Now you're going to have to hold the ruler fairly firmly. Line up and just line it up. Hold the knife vertically so you're not cutting diagonally or sideways. And then carefully, so that you don't cut your fingers, slice down the line. I'll take a few goes to get all the way through. There we go, I think that's just about done. Okay, so there's 180mm or 18 centimetres. Draw a line there. Again, keeping my fingers out of the way. Okay, and that is the body of the car. Using a hammer, gently tap one of the axles into the first rear wheel. Now we need to push the drive cog onto the axle. So first, lay the drive cog on the table, push the end of the axle into the drive cog. Once you've done that, turn it upside down and then use your thumbs to push the drive cog all the way down to the base of the wheel. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is, so you can see what's going to happen here. This wheel is going to slide into there, but if I just do it like that, you see how that rattles around. So to stop it from rattling around like that, I'm going to use these melty beads. So these melty beads, I found them at the $2 shop. You can see that these beads, if I take that out, they fit loosely around the axle and they spin freely around the axle. So I'm going to take one of those melty beads and I'm going to stick one of those just in the outside of the core flute like that. And I'm going to put another one on the other side. So let's see, 1, 2, 3rd hole, 1, 2, 3rd hole, so that they're, okay, there we go. So they're both in there now. I can put my axle now through there and they form bearings for the wheel. Okay, there we go. So now that wheel spins freely, but it doesn't rattle around. Okay, now I'm going to use one of those orange spacers that I had before, and I'm going to poke the axle into the orange spacer. And now I'm going to just carefully, with my thumbnails, push the spacer down. So I don't want to make it too tight, but I don't want it to rattle around either. So I'm just going to gently push it down. There we go. So it doesn't rattle around, but spins freely. Beautiful. Okay. Now, lastly, I'm going to put the wheel on the top there. That, and just again tap it slightly, gently. There we go. And so now we've got the back wheels in place and they spin nice and freely. If they're too tight, you might just have to pull the spacer out a little bit, but that spins nice and freely. Okay, now I'm going to put the front wheels on, and very similarly, so I'm going to start with I'm going to use a smaller wheel. It actually doesn't matter, you might use different wheels, but I'll start with the smaller one. I could use those wheels again, or I could even make my own wheels, but these will do for now. So another axle, again, put it in there, tap it lightly. Okay, now I'm going to put one of these orange spacers, put that on next, poke it in, push it down with my thumbnails. There we go. I won't push it all the way down. I'll push it down to about there. And okay, now I need some more of these melty beads. And poke one in there. Doesn't matter exactly where it goes, but as long as they're the same on both sides. So in this one, 1, 2, third hole again I used. 1, 2, 3, third hole. Slide that in there. Again, that'll spin nice and freely without rattling around. Okay, another spacer. Poke that on. Push it down with thumbnails. Now again, I don't want to push it I want to push it carefully because I don't want to make it too tight. There we go. It doesn't matter if that rattles around a little bit actually, because I'm just going to move that back. The front wheel doesn't have to be as precise as the back one. Okay, and lastly, there we go. Actually, that's a bit off centre. Let me just adjust that a little bit. I'll slide that one back. I'm just being fussy now. It doesn't matter if it's not exactly in the middle, but let's do a good job. Okay, so they spin nice and freely. They spin nice and freely. Okay, so we're ready to mount the motor. I've got a glue gun here, a hot glue gun. Now I'm only going to get one go at this, so I'm going to make sure I get it right the first time. I need to glue the motor. Now I need to make sure the motor's straight, so not bent sideways or like that or like that. I'll lose a lot of energy if I have it crooked. So I'm going to make sure it's nice and straight. So I'm going to squirt some glue, there we go, a fairly generous amount of glue, probably not that much, but never mind, onto the motor. Be careful not to get the glue onto the cog there, you don't want to gum that up. And I'm going to place, there we go, place the motor there like that, and again so that it's fairly snugly pushed against that drive cog, but not too firmly that it gets stuck. Okay, and we'll just let that dry for a minute. Is to mount and connect the solar panel onto the car. So to do that, I'm just going to grab some electrical tape. If I can find the edge, there it is. Grab some electrical tape like that. I'm going to cut, actually it doesn't matter if it's electrical tape or sticky tape. Cut a length of it. I'm going to turn it inside out like that, wrap it around into a loop so that the sticky part is on the outside. And then I'm just going to place that masking tape on the back of the solar panel like that. And I can just push that down onto the front of the car like that. Okay, the last thing to do then is to connect the alligator clips from the solar panel onto the motor. So I'll clip one on there, one on there. Now you want to arrange these so that the wires aren't rubbing on the wheel or the motor or anything like that, but also you don't want them in the way of the solar panel. So you may even want to just use a little bit more tape to do that. Let me just see if I can get that right. There we go, that looks about right. Okay. Alright, now, which way to connect your wires? It actually, well it does matter, because if you connect them the wrong way the car will go backwards, but if you get them wrong, just reverse the polarity. Okay, so put that one on there, put that one on there, and if we find the car goes backwards, then just swap them the other way. So we can take that out and we can test it in the sun. So you can see with a bit of a push, that goes pretty well. Now, your job will be to build this first car and then make some modifications and see if you can build a better one.